Welcome to NorCal Slot Car Scene. Recently, I did a video on building an NSR Mercedes AMG GT3 in a Sidewinder motor configuration to join my current GT3 race car, another AMG GT3 that uses an angle winder setup. Sidewinder motor setups are typically the preferred setup in dominate proxy racing. When I did the build, I also decided to set up a ScaleAuto BMW Z4 GT3. The ScaleAuto is much shorter, and I was hoping it would perform well on the tracks we race on in Northern California. While the NSR builds use primarily stock or stock replacement parts, the ScaleAuto BMW was going to be built with parts from many different sources. The point of this video is not to show the complete build process, but to see how much performance I can get with off-the-shelf aftermarket parts. Let's start with the wheels and tires. In the front, slotted wheels and tires were taken from a Ferrari 312. They are small in diameter and fit perfectly. In the rear, NSR Super Grip tires were mounted on slotted air-style wheels. To get the power from the track to the motor, NSR braid was installed in an aftermarket guide. This car was built in a Sidewinder motor setup, so a slotted 1mm offset pod was attached to the stock chassis. The slotted pod, along with the wheel and tire setup, allowed for a very low ride height of 1.3 millimeters. When installing the pod, I backed the pod screws out by about half a turn to give me the amount of pod movement that I wanted. You can see in this photo the approximate amount of play between the motor pod and the chassis. For power, I chose a Pirhana 25K double ball bearing motor. This motor has proved to be very good on the 1/32 scale wood tracks in Northern California and has put my thunderslot Can-Am car in the winner's circle. The gears are from a thunderslot Can-Am car. The pinion is an 11-tooth and the spur is a 32-tooth. A slotted reduced center diameter axle is used so the motor is not touching the axle. Two spacers reduce friction between the bushing and the wheel or the gear. Because Lexan interiors are allowed in our rules, I used one from an NSR BMW Z4 and saved quite a bit of weight over the stock interior. ScaleAuto only uses 2 screws to mount the body. Because of this, they have provided a set of set screw holes in the chassis that match up with the body to allow you to control the amount of body float. To start testing, I added about 8 grams of lead and tungsten on the pod right in front of the motor. During testing, I added 2 pieces of lead on the side of the chassis. Strapping tape was used to control the movement of the motor pod. So, how did this hodgepodge of a car perform? At the Silicon City Speedway track, it was about 0.15 of a second faster than my NSR angle winder, and within a couple hundredths of my thunderslot Can-Am car. Both NSR cars will remain in my slot car box, as they may be better on the longer tracks. I now have 3 competitive GT3 cars to compete with on the variety of tracks in Northern California. Thanks for watching. This is Jim Rose with NorCal Slot Car Scene.